Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Good Vibes with Yaya. And on today's episode, I'm joined with the one and only girl boss herself, the founder of Women of Lyn, Tamani Lyn. And she's sharing her insights on how and why she created her brand, who she is behind her brand, dating while having a brand, and so many more business tips for your brand. Now, before we get started, you already know what I need you to do. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at Good Vibes with Yaya. Hey, Tamani.
Hi, so happy to be here tonight. Thank you for
No
having me.
problem. Thank you so much for joining me on my show today. So let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about your brand, Women of Lyn. It's like a big umbrella for so many different brands under it. So tell me how you started, why you started, and kind of what inspires you to keep going.
Women of Lyn is a national women's empowerment organization. And as you said, we have an umbrella of several different things that we like to do within our organization to overall give back to other women. We have an international podcast called the Women of Lyn podcast. We do business development programs, like we have a coaching program, a mentoring program. So as you said, we do a lot of different things. And I get that question a lot as to why do we have so many things a part of our organization, how we have a lot of different things part of our organization, and the meaning behind all those things. And the reason why we have that entire umbrella was to give women a variation of different sources in which they can gain empowerment from us. Like if you want to get empowered through an article, we have a blog. If you want to get empowered through our podcast, we have that. If you want to get empowered, with your business, we have business development programs. So that's mainly why. But the reason why I started Women of Lyn was because I honestly wanted to defy the negative norms centered around women and how we interacted with each other, especially in the DMV area. And in the beginning, it was definitely hard because, as you know, there are a lot of different women's empowerment organizations in the area. So we fought in the beginning for us to be taken seriously. And, as the months and the years went on, we definitely began to pave a way for us to grow and just set our tone within the industry. But I love it. I love everything that we're doing. I love the fact that we're able to touch and impact so many different women, and I'm just thankful and grateful to God that he gave me this vision so I can continuously do things that also not only pour into women, but they pour into me as well when I do these things. So yeah.
So you mentioned that there are so many other women empowerment organizations within the area. And how did you try to make sure that your brand stood out from the others?
That's a very good question. So a lot of people, when they first start their brands and their business, especially when it comes to women's empowerment, they struggle with the imposter syndrome. You see a lot of different brands. You're like, oh, they're doing that. Should I do this or should I do that? My biggest advice for women who are, in a field where it's a little oversaturated, it should just do different things that, are true to you and original to you. And the more that you align yourself with, your own personal brand and you really don't look at other people, it's the more that you're able to set yourself aside. So when we began to do different things like the podcast, like our mentoring program and coaching program, it almost became like a natural source of separation because we were doing so many different things and we didn't see a lot of women's empowerment works doing that. So I would definitely say to just focus on you and what you want to bring to the table and make sure it's not aligning with anybody else's brand and what they're doing. So that's definitely a way to set yourself aside. And that's how we were able to set ourselves aside.
And so what impact do you hope to make with every either subcategory under your brand or just Women of Lyn as a whole?
As a whole, the main impact that I want to leave on women is to just let them know that they can do anything that they set their minds to, whether if it's with business or if you don't have a business, you're just a woman in general, you can do anything you set your mind to. Just be confident with whatever you want to do and to just be a boss with whatever you do as well. Being a boss is a very large part of our organization. We always call people WO bosses, which is of course the acronym for Women of Lyn. We empower girl bosses, lady bosses, different things like that. And a lot of people think that in order to be a boss, you need to have a business. Is honestly comes down to the mindset. Being a boss is also a mindset and just a form of self-empowerment and just seeing the highest version of yourself and acting as that. So that's the main impact that we want to leave, to just empower women in general and to just let them know that anybody can be a boss and you can do anything you set your mind to.
And so you bring a lot of different women onto your podcast. How do you go about picking these specific women, and why do you want to tell their specific story?
That's an amazing question. So, in the beginning, it was relatively easy to choose different women to be on the podcast and to just have them share their journeys and their stories of how they were able to grow into the girl bosses that they are today. In the beginning, it was fairly easy to choose because I chose people that I knew around me. But then when we got to, I believe, what are we in now? Season 3. When we got to season 3, that's when I realized, okay, in order to grow, I need to have a team. So now we have a team that actually chooses and hand selects every boss that we now have on our podcast, in which it has allowed us to interview a variation of different women across the United States, not just within the DMV area anymore. We've had amazing guests on our podcast, whether if they were a guest speaker for TED Talk, or if they, had their own business. Like we had the Milk and Honey founder, which is a restaurant based in DC and the DMV area in general. We have a lot of different girl bosses on our podcast now. So to answer that question, in the beginning it was easy to choose those bosses because I chose people that I knew around me. But then I was like, I got to season 3. I was like, oh my God, like I want more people, more than just people that I know. So I got a team to do that. But the reason why we have different bosses on our podcast to share their stories is because you never know who needs to hear that story to get impacted and inspired and encouraged. Before I started my own podcast, I used to listen to a variation of different podcasts. Coriel DeBow, she has a podcast. I forgot the name of it. Confessions of a Workaholic. That's the name of the podcast. And that was something that definitely empowered me to start my own podcast, just women sharing their stories all around, whether if it was with her podcast or any podcast in general. When I realized that, hearing other women's stories, they impacted me, I was like, oh my goodness, more women need to do this. So that's a big reason why.
And so you mentioned that you've gotten people outside of the DMV. So how did it feel like branching outside of just your area?
How did it feel? It was very scary. It was so scary. Oh my goodness, because when you start a brand, you think very small. In the beginning, you think very small. You just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a couple events in the DMV or in DC, at most, at large, Washington, DC. Right. But we began to branch out to, say, Virginia, then we got to New Jersey, then we got to New York, and then LA. I was like, I got really nervous, but it let me know, like, okay, we're growing, we're doing something right. This is what I prayed for. This is what I asked for. So any advice to any girl boss that's going to be watching this is, if you're witnessing your brand growing, beyond your wildest dreams, don't get scared, don't get nervous. Just take it as an indicator that you're doing something right. And a lot of us, as I said, we think small when starting, but you really need to think big when you start. You really need to be so confident in your brand that when those opportunities begin to come from across the United States or say across the globe, you're like, oh, I was expecting this. Oh, this is what I prayed for. This is why I'm here. So to answer your question, it was very scary, but then it began to serve as an indicator, like, oh my God, okay, we're doing something right.
And so you also do have a mentorship program under Women of Lyn. And, girls that are part of your mentorship program, probably around your age, younger, or probably even older. So what do you feel like you have that says, okay, I can definitely mentor these people in the right direction?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question as well. I love these questions. In the beginning, when I first started to serve as a mentor, a lot of them were my age or younger. But when I began to get women that were older, like for instance, I'm 22. I'm only 22 years old, but my oldest mentee is 30 now. And so I began to ask myself those questions. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm having women that are older than me coming to me for mentorship. And I really began to deep dive into myself and realize that, I feel like your childhood can really say a lot to the things that you do later on down the line. For me, I'm the oldest of now 3. Okay. So looking back on my childhood, I was their mom. I was their second mom because we were all raised by a single mom. So that mentorship was kind of instilled in me early. So when it came to my brand and me building a mentorship program, it came almost like second nature. And that's what led me to no longer, question myself as far as mentoring, especially when you get people from different fields, different areas, different ages. I all just chalk it up to, I've been through a lot of, different growth processes. I've helped raise my siblings. So I'm able to, better assist and help other women in different areas because of just, that overall maturity level and, just my knowledge of certain different things.
And based on your knowledge, your experience, how did you gain your knowledge and understanding the marketing skills, the business skills, all these different tools that you offer to either your mentors or just people who are interested in your brand?
Mm-hmm. So when I began to realize that Women of Lyn was growing, as far as we began to have a lot of entrepreneurs join our organization, I began to invest in several different certifications. And I used to go to Bowie State University before I graduated, May of 2020. Yeah, before I graduated May of 2020. I invested in a lot of different courses there as well, because I knew that eventually I wanted to provide, business development across a variation of different business realms and marketing and branding, different things like that. So honestly, I invested into a lot of different courses so that I'm able to, better understand and communicate and help other women. But before I began to invest in those things, when we were building Women of Lyn, as far as, the branding and marketing for the actual organization, I was realizing that a lot of the things I was putting out, I was like, a lot of people can learn from this. I used to be on YouTube 24/7, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., figuring out how to create my logo, how to create, different things for Instagram and just marketing in general. I was like, I can teach the women around me what I know to make it easier for them, because I wouldn't want anybody to be spending as much time as I was spending on YouTube
Right.
University, teaching myself a variation of different things. So that's really how, I was able to do that.
And you've also branched off into fashion recently. So tell me, what inspires your fashion sense and kind of what made you want to start your own clothing line?
Yes. So since a girl, as I told you, I was raised by a single mom. And if you've ever been raised by a single mom, or anybody who's watching this, if you have a single parent, then you know that we're not in a two parent household. So the money is a lot less. And so I was raised in PG County, which is one of the richest areas for African American people. So you notice yourself, you're in middle school, high school, you're going to school, everybody has on like the latest Jordans. That's what everybody used to wear. They have on the latest Jordans. They got Salviato, they got Hugo Boss. And I used to look around like, oh my God, I got this frumpy shirt on from Walmart. I used to feel so bad, but I was like, my mom can't perform on the levels that other, people's parents could, because they were in 2-unit households. So that's when I began to honestly spice it up and just, express myself through fashion, and still made myself feel like I'm fashionable and presentable without having to buy designer, without having to feel like I had to keep up with other people.
Right.
I honestly look at it as a form of self-empowerment and expression. And that's how I honestly got into style and fashion. And I took it and ran with it. I love fashion so much. I feel like, it's nothing like putting on a good suit. That's like putting on a good suit and just, putting on, things that make you feel good, especially as a woman. So when I was provided the opportunity to have my own line, that's when I was just like, oh, I can definitely do this, because I've been doing it for a while. I get that question a lot, with women's empowerment. How did you get into fashion? And that's basically how. So I'm truly excited to embark on this new journey.
So how would you describe your fashion sense?
My fashion sense. So it's so funny because my little line is my little line. Here I am talking small, as I was saying before. My line called Boss Can Be Fashionable Too, a part of TamaniLyn.com. I entitled it that because a lot of people think bosses always have to be in a suit. They always have to dress professionally. But honestly, the way that I describe my fashion is very edgy, very on trend. Very relaxed. You could put pretty much anything on me with heels and I'll be fine with it. So that's how I would describe it. Just that overall boss wear.
And I feel like you've done so much. So like, where do you see your brand in the next 5 years?
Honestly, within the next 5 years, I see us being the biggest women's empowerment organization stemming from the DMV area. And I'm hoping and praying that we keep the same momentum. I'm praying that God continues to give me, the ideas that, He gives me and that I'm able to keep growing. But that's definitely where I see us, hopefully within the next 3 to 5 years as we continue to grow. That's what I think. I don't know what God has in store for me, but that's definitely where I see us, hopefully.
All right, so let's get into the tea, because we know Tamani Lyn, we know Women of Lyn, we see your Instagram, we see your social media, and you are popping, you're bomb. But who is Tamani behind her brand?
Yes. So it's so funny because people always think I'm this super uptight person. I'm always talking professional. I'm always business oriented, but I'm honestly a super chill and lax person behind the scenes. I love to just chill. A lot of people, they forget that behind these big brands and these organizations, the founders are people too. We like to do normal things too. We like to chill with our friends. We like to go out. We love to do fun things. So honestly, I'm a very chill, laid back person. And yeah, I just love to have fun aside from business. People, that's what I was saying. A lot of people think that I'm just business oriented. I'm always, you know, in the professional realm, but outside of that, you know, I'm just a normal person, normal girl.
What is something that people don't know about you that your brand doesn't show outside of you just being a chill, relaxed person? Like, what's a fun fact about you?
A fun fact is that low-key, I'm a comedian. Outside of my brand, oh my God, I'm always cracking jokes. Because again, people always think I'm super uptight, but I'm really like chill behind the scenes once you really get to know me. In person, I get a lot that I'm a very quiet. I look very quiet, very to myself. But honestly, when I get comfortable around certain people, that's when I just begin to blossom. Because of course, if I'm comfortable with those people, then I can express myself a little bit more. So I'm a comedian behind the scenes, to answer your question.
So are you really a comedian, or do you think you're a comedian? Because you're not
I'm really a
always
comedian.
funny.
Nah, I'm a comedian.
Okay. All right. So what are your favorite things to do to kind of just relax? Because I feel like you're a girl boss, you have so many things going on, you know. What is your way to kind of just relax? I know you have like your self-care Sundays. So tell me more about that.
Yes. So honestly, self-care Sundays started with me in the beginning of starting Women of Lyn, just overworking myself. And when you're in the beginning stages of building a brand, organization, or a business, you'll notice that you're just working 24/7, 24 hours out of the day, 7 days a week. And I had to set aside a day for myself to just relax and unplug and to just pay attention to Tamani behind the brand. So on those self-care Sundays, I love to paint. That's one of my top hobbies. I love to paint, or I'll do anything with styling. Say, you know, if I could go out and do a basic photo shoot just to do it, I'd like to do that as well. And different things that pour into me. I've definitely gotten into reading, you know, recently, especially with the pandemic and us, you know, being forced to stay home, of course, with the stay-at-home orders to make sure that we're safe and healthy. I've been getting into reading, and doing a lot of self-work as well during those self-care Sundays. I think it's very important for all entrepreneurs to set aside a day for themselves with each week, so you don't, you know, have that burnout period, or you don't get to that burnout at all. But on those self-care Sundays, I love to paint, I love to read, I love to chill, I love to watch movies. Oh my God, I'm huge on binging with Netflix now.
Yes.
Huge on binging. Oh my goodness, I just found this series called You. So
You
good.
just found You?
Yes, I'm late. I know. I'm
Oh
so
my
late.
gosh.
I'm
You
so
are
late.
so late.
No, girl. I
It's
know.
okay. It's okay. You catching up. You catching up. You getting
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying.
there. So how do you feel about You so far?
I love it. Oh my goodness. It's crazy, but the way that they romanticize Joe
Yes.
is literally twisted.
Right.
Sometimes I'll see myself like feeling bad for him, like, oh, she don't understand. He love her. He'll do anything
Right.
for her. But it's so sick and twisted that you're just like, oh my God, why am I even feeling bad for him? He's a nutcase.
He's
But
definitely crazy. It's so crazy. But I love that show. I can't wait till the next season drops. Definitely. So you mentioned painting. So what's your favorite thing that you've painted so far?
my favorite thing that I think I love to paint so far is flowers. I love to paint
Mhm.
flowers because they're super intricate. It's a million and one different types of flowers that you can create and draw. Roses is probably my favorite out of the flowers that I draw. But to answer your question, it's probably my favorite thing. It's just a symbol of blossoming and
Right.
growing. That's why I love to paint those.
And speaking of growing, you also mentioned that you are working on yourself. You did that during quarantine and during your self-care Sundays. So what's like the biggest lesson that you learned about yourself so far?
The biggest lesson that I've learned about myself so far, as far as business, I'm going to put it on, basically on the business aspect in the name of Issa Rae, network horizontally and not vertically. Um,
Mm,
I think that's the biggest thing that I've probably learned thus far as business. A lot of the people, um, you know, that you think you need to network with, you think they're a part of these top organizations, these top businesses, when honestly, the people that you have next to you are probably the people that you need the most.
mhm.
Like, for example, when I used to be in college, and I was building Women of Lyn, building the organization, I would always think like, oh my gosh, I don't have, you know, a top graphic designer, I don't have a top videographer. When honestly, the people in my health 101, in my health 101 class, my management 201 class, those are the people that were, you know, the groundbreaking aspect of my business. And the fact that I was able to network work horizontally and instead of vertically has been one of the most pivotal things that I think has been a part of my entrepreneurial journey. It's just realizing that a lot of the people that you need to network with are sometimes in the same exact rooms as you. So don't underestimate that at all.
And I think that's a great idea because they have so many they want to grow too. They have to practice too. So it's like, why not give give them that opportunity to be able to practice and groom their skills, and then also offering you those services too. I love that. That's very, very nice. I love it. And so, do you think that it's possible to be a girl boss in a relationship, and how does that work? So I know that you were in a relationship at some point. We see it on your Instagram. So kind of tell me, like, overall, do you feel like it works in general when you have your own business and stuff like that? Or do you feel like you should just stand by yourself, focus on you, get what you need to get, and then join a relationship later on?
Honestly, I definitely think it depends on the person. So if you're in, I would say within your 2 to 3 year mark within your business and you're pretty stable, I would definitely say go for a relationship. But it honestly just depends on the person that you're with. When you're an entrepreneur and you're in business, you need someone that could be understanding of your demanding schedule. You need somebody that could be understanding that sometimes you don't have time to do certain things, or you're just trying to get to a certain point. So I highly encourage anybody, any girl boss who wants to be in a relationship, try to stay away from guys who want 100% of your time to them, and they just distract you. But if you could find guys, or have guys find you that appreciate the fact that you're a boss and you're working towards something, and somebody that works with your schedule, I definitely say do that. And honestly, it's just a matter of who you can grow with at this point. Of course, if you're getting older, as far as if you're a girl boss that's a little bit older and you're, say, in 25, 26, in that realm, you really want to start looking for people that you can grow with, not only as far as your business as well, but as a woman, people that you can grow with. So that's the top advice that I would give for that. It's definitely possible, but it depends on the person.
Right.
And, just be careful with who you choose.
Right. I completely agree, because everyone's in different stages of their lives. And when you're first jumping into something new, that does require so much attention, whether it's relationship or your business, like both of them require a lot of attention. So being able to balance it out and making sure you're in the right phase to be able to give your all within your relationship and also your business too. I love that.
Yes, and definitely have someone who could support you as well.
Yes.
Support is huge. Support is huge. I saw this. A lot of you guys probably follow this Justin LeBoy page on Instagram.
Yes.
One time a few months ago, he was like, when you get with an entrepreneur, you need to understand that you're going to become their assistant. At one point, I'm not agreeing with that, but I'm just saying that, just speaks to the volume of support that you need to give any girl boss you get into a relationship with, or if you're a girl boss watching this and you want to get into a relationship, just make sure that that person supports you 100%, 150%, 200% as much as possible, so that you're able to grow.
And I feel like it should also go vice versa. All the guy bosses too, they definitely need a female by their side to be able to, encourage them and support them and push them. And then the guys should be doing the same thing for the girls too. So definitely, it should definitely go both ways when it comes to support. And that also gives you that push to kind of be like, okay, I see that you believe in me. It's like some sort of like confidence that definitely pushes you. It's definitely motivating.
Absolutely.
And for my last question, what are 3 to 5 business tips that you can give people who are interested in either starting their business or just mentoring, just basically anything from your experience?
So 3 to 5 tips. Oh my goodness, I can give a million if I can. So number 1 is don't compare yourself to others. I spoke about that a little bit in the beginning. I always say don't compare your year 1 to somebody's year 5, especially when you're starting off in an oversaturated market. Just do what works best for you. Go on your own journey, go on your own pace. Whatever God has for you will come to you. You don't have to work too hard for it. You don't have to lift a finger for it. It will come to you. So don't compare yourself to other people. 2, collaborate over compete. That is the second biggest thing that I've learned, especially within the DMV area. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. A lot of us, we like to compete with each other, when really, if we just sit around and collaborate and work with one another to, reach the overall goal of, building our area up, I feel like we would be a lot better off. So try to collaborate over competing with orgs or brands that you see. It takes nothing to send an outreach email to see if somebody wants to collaborate on a drive with you, or on, say, something as small as, a t-shirt design with you, different things like that. So definitely try to collaborate over compete, because it will definitely pay off later on down the line.
Right.
3, help others around you. I've realized this a lot. I'm very big on not gatekeeping anything that I know, especially if you feel like it can help the woman next to you. So definitely help others around you in any which way that you can. That's the 3rd biggest thing. And the 4th thing, build a community. Build a community when it comes to building your brand or business. Also build that community, because you'll realize that a lot of people will have a lot of loyalty to your brand when you genuinely take the time out to build community with them. And it builds a lot of customer loyalty as well on a business standpoint and aspect. So those are the 4 business tips that I can give and leave with you ladies tonight.
And so what is coming with Women of Lyn? Like, what's new? What's happening? I know mentorships have closed, but are we getting another application coming in? Like, what's going on?
I get that question a lot. I feel like Rihanna, everybody asking her when R9 is coming out, y'all.
Right.
Honestly, I want to talk about that a little bit before I tell you guys what's next, because you guys will be the first to know. The reason why Women of Lyn's mentorship applications only open once, at most twice a year, is because honestly, I really take my time out with each girl to get to know them in and out, so I can know how to best be their mentor and to assist and help them with their business. And I feel as though when you're accepting a lot of different people, month by month, week by week, you don't really have the time to sit down and get to know everybody. So it's just honestly building that relationship with the girls that I already do have, making sure that they graduate from my program, making sure that they're 100% set when they leave my program, and making sure that I'm ready when new women come in, that I'm able to mentor them. So it's just honestly giving you guys an explanation why they only open twice a year, because I genuinely like to spend a lot of one-on-one time with all of my mentees, get to know them on a personal level so I can know best how to help their business. But applications will be opening February or March, around there, February or March. So it's very soon come. I will say that applications do fill out very, 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 very fast. So the first day that you see applications, I would definitely say get on that. If you're watching this and you want to somehow get on the list earlier, the wait list earlier, I would definitely say go ahead and email us at womenoflyn@gmail.com. Leave us your name, your business name, so we can go ahead and put you on the list so you can have first priority before we actually drop applications to the public. That's that. What's next for Women of Lyn? We have a business e-masterclass that's coming up January 8th. It is a 4 to 5 week course. I threw in an extra week this time around, basically teaching different girl bosses and entrepreneurs how to start their business and their brand, whether it's this legalization, branding and marketing, how to run successful social media ads for business. That's a bonus week that we have. And we'll have special guests each week with that. So that's starting January 8th. And then we're having something new called the Boss Academy, which is a 6-week intensive mentorship program. So if you aren't able to get, into our mentorship program fast enough, out of the 2 times that we open per year, you have an opportunity to get mentored by me for 6 weeks straight, which is an intensive. So those are the things that we have coming up next.
Amazing. I can't wait. I look forward to joining that Boss Academy class because I want to learn a few things. Definitely. I'm so excited. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Anything else that I would like to add? I want to leave everybody with something, just, something that I've, told myself these last few months. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it and keep going hard with it. It doesn't matter how many people you think aren't watching you. It doesn't matter, if you don't have bookings. It doesn't matter if you're not selling X, Y, and Z. Whatever you're doing, just keep going. Stay consistent. You never know who's literally watching you and waiting to invest in you, invest in your business and your brand, waiting to work with you, just in general. I actually, before, we got on this call tonight, I had a really long talk with one of my mentees, and she felt like, she wasn't moving fast enough. She wasn't moving fast enough. Her business wasn't moving fast enough. And she was eager to start X, Y, and Z. And I told her the importance of waiting and just staying consistent and just praying on whatever you're doing. And, just making sure you're giving your 100%, 150% into whatever you're doing without needing the validation or the approval or, the recognition from others. And literally 20 minutes after we got off of the call, she got her first speaking engagement booking. Ooh. So literally, and I was just like, I don't know, just like that happening, and then me coming on here tonight. I really wanted to share that because I feel like that happened so I can tell you guys this as well, because I know somebody needs to hear it. Just keep going with whatever you're doing. Stay consistent, because you never know when your next break will be.
Right. I completely agree. Definitely. You never know the next day that you might win. So I definitely agree. Thank you so much for joining me today on my talk show, Good Vibes with Yaya. I really appreciate it. If you want to drop your @name, your website, and your brand.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. If you guys want to go ahead and follow me on all social media platforms, my social media platforms @name is @Tamani Lyn on everything. That's TAMANILYN. And you can follow Women of Lyn on every single social media platform @Women of Lyn.
Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Good Vibes with Yaya. If you know someone that would be great for our show, make sure you DM us on Instagram Good Vibes with Yaya, or send us an email goodvibeswithyaya@gmail.com. See you next time.